One day, you look around and realize something has changed. People are still alive. Their names are still in your phone. Their faces still appear online. Their memories still exist inside you. But something between you is gone. The closeness feels thinner. The conversations feel shorter. The warmth feels weaker. The connection feels like it is slowly disappearing, even though no one officially said goodbye. And that is one of the loneliest feelings in the world. Not losing everyone all at once, but slowly, quietly, one person at a time, one unanswered message at a time, one awkward conversation at a time, one distance you pretend not to notice at a time. You do not always lose people through betrayal. Sometimes you lose them through silence, sometimes through growth, sometimes through exhaustion, sometimes through the painful realization that you can no longer fit into the version of yourself they were comfortable loving. And the hardest part is this: you may not even know if you are losing them, or finally losing the version of yourself that kept them close. Because sometimes, when you start changing, people do not leave immediately. They just begin to pull away. They do not announce it. They do not explain it. They do not say, "I liked you more when you were easier to access." They do not say, "I preferred you when you had no boundaries." They do not say, "I felt safer when you needed my approval." They simply become different, colder, quieter, less interested, less present. And you start wondering what you did wrong. You replay conversations. You question your tone. You ask yourself if you became too distant, too serious, too unavailable, too changed, too hard to understand. And maybe you did change. But not every change is a mistake. Sometimes the version of you that people miss is the version that was slowly destroying you. The version that said yes when she wanted to say no. The version that laughed when she felt uncomfortable. The version that replied quickly even when she was emotionally drained. The version that stayed available to people who rarely asked how she was really doing. The version that kept connections alive by carrying more than her share. And when that version begins to disappear, some people will not know how to love the new you. Not because the new you is worse, but because the new you no longer serves the same purpose in their life. That is when you begin losing people. Not always because they hate you. Not always because they are evil. Not always because something dramatic happened. Sometimes you lose people because your healing removes the role you used to play for them. You stop being the listener who never needs anything. You stop being the forgiving one who always comes back. You stop being the strong one who never breaks. You stop being the available one who always answers. You stop being the soft place where everyone can leave their pain without asking what it costs you. And suddenly, the relationship changes. Because some people were not connected to your soul. They were connected to your function. They loved what you provided, your comfort, your attention, your understanding, your silence, your patience, your ability to keep showing up even when they gave very little back. But when you begin protecting your energy, they begin feeling rejected. When you begin choosing peace, they begin calling you distant. When you begin setting boundaries, they begin saying you changed. And they are right. You did change. You changed because staying the same was costing you too much. You changed because your nervous system got tired of calling anxiety love. You changed because your heart got tired of being loyal to people who only valued you when you were useful. You changed because the old version of you could not survive the life you were trying to build. And that kind of change will cost you people. But sometimes, losing people is not a punishment. Sometimes it is a purification. Life begins removing the people who were attached to your wounds, not your wholeness. The people who liked your low self-worth because it made you easier to control. The people who liked your fear of abandonment because it made you easier to keep. The people who liked your need for approval because it made you easier to influence. The people who liked your overgiving because it meant they never had to give much back. And once you begin to heal, their access to you becomes harder. Your tolerance becomes lower. Your silence becomes stronger. Your standards become less negotiable. You no longer laugh at disrespect to keep the mood light. You no longer answer every message just to prove you care. You no longer explain your heart to people who only understand when it benefits them. You no longer make yourself small just to remain easy to love. And when you stop doing these things, some people will slowly leave. Not because you became unlovable, but because you became less usable. That truth can hurt, because nobody wants to believe they were valued only for what they gave. Nobody wants to look back and realize the connection depended on their self-abandonment. Nobody wants to admit that the moment they started having boundaries, certain people started having problems with them. But that is often how reality reveals itself. You do not truly know who respects you until you stop overextending yourself. You do not truly know who values you until you stop being constantly available. You do not truly know who loves you until you stop performing the version of yourself that made them comfortable. And sometimes the answer is painful. Some people only loved you when you were easy. Easy to reach, easy to forgive, easy to guilt, easy to convince, easy to interrupt, easy to keep waiting, easy to misunderstand, easy to return to. But the moment you become harder to access, they act like you became the problem. They call your boundary distance. They call your peace coldness. They call your growth arrogance. They call your silence pride. They call your healing selfishness. But what they are really saying is, I do not know how to relate to you when I can no longer benefit from you ignoring yourself. That is why losing people during growth feels so confusing. Part of you feels stronger, but another part of you feels abandoned. Part of you knows you are finally choosing yourself, but another part of you wonders why choosing yourself makes so many people disappear. And that question can make you doubt your healing. It can make you think, maybe I was better before. Maybe I was kinder before. Maybe I was easier before. Maybe people liked me more before. But ask yourself honestly, was that version of you loved? Or was she needed? Was she valued? Or was she useful? Was she peaceful? Or was she accepted because she never made anyone uncomfortable with her truth? There is a difference between being loved and being convenient. And many people do not discover that difference until they stop being convenient. That is the painful gift of losing people. It shows you who was connected to your truth and who was connected to your access. It shows you who cared about your peace and who cared about your availability. It shows you who wanted you healed and who only wanted you manageable. And yes, it hurts. It hurts when people you once trusted become strangers. It hurts when someone who used to feel close now feels like a place you cannot return to. It hurts when you realize the connection was held together by your effort, your patience, your forgiveness, your ability to ignore what was missing. It hurts when you stop reaching out and the relationship disappears. Because then you see something you were afraid to see. You were not losing them when you stopped trying. You were only discovering that you had been holding the whole thing alone. And that kind of realization can break something inside you. Because you begin to ask, how many people would still be here if I stopped being the one who always understands? How many connections would survive if I stopped carrying them? How many people would still choose me if I stopped making it easy for them? How many would ask about me if I stopped being useful to them? These questions are painful, but they are necessary. Because sometimes your loneliness is not proof that you are unlovable. Sometimes your loneliness is proof that you are no longer available for shallow connection. You are losing people because you are no longer willing to abandon yourself to keep them. You are losing people because your soul is no longer willing to perform closeness where there is no real intimacy. You are losing people because your standards are finally stronger than your fear of being alone. And that is not failure. That is growth. But growth can feel cruel at first, because when you grow, you do not only gain wisdom, you lose illusions. You lose the illusion that everyone who smiles at you wants the best for you. You lose the illusion that history is enough to keep a connection alive. You lose the illusion that being kind will always make people treat you with kindness. You lose the illusion that if you explain yourself enough, people will meet you with honesty. You lose the illusion that everyone you love has the capacity to love you back in the way you need. And losing illusions can feel like losing people, because sometimes the person you miss was partly an illusion. You miss who you thought they were. You miss who they were when you did not ask for much. You miss the connection before your eyes opened. You miss the comfort of not seeing the imbalance. But once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Once you notice that you are always the one adjusting, you cannot stop noticing. Once you realize that your peace disappears around certain people, you cannot pretend it does not. Once you feel how calm life becomes without certain energies, you cannot call their presence harmless anymore. And that is where the distance begins. Not because you planned it, not because you wanted to lose them, but because your body starts refusing what your mind used to excuse. You stop reaching out as much. You stop forcing conversations. You stop pretending everything feels the same. You stop sharing parts of yourself with people who have not earned access to them. You stop showing up in places where your soul feels tired before you even arrive. And slowly, some connections fade. At first, you may feel guilty. You may wonder if you should try harder. You may wonder if you are becoming selfish. You may wonder if you are isolating yourself. But not every distance is isolation. Sometimes distance is discernment. Sometimes distance is your soul finally saying, "This is not where I am safe." Sometimes distance is what happens when your peace becomes more important than your pattern. And that is where a deeper truth appears. You are not losing everyone. You are losing the people who were never meant to meet you at this level of your life. You are losing people who could only love the version of you that needed less. People who could only connect with you when you were wounded in a way that made you available to them. People who were comfortable with your confusion because it made you easier to keep close. People who were comfortable with your silence because it meant they did not have to change. And as painful as it is, their leaving creates space. Space for people who don't need you to shrink. Space for people who don't punish your boundaries. Space for people who don't make your growth feel like betrayal. Space for people who can meet the real you, not the exhausted version of you who kept everything alive. But before those people arrive, there is often a lonely season. A season where the old connections are fading, but the new ones have not formed yet. A season where you feel between worlds, too aware to go back, too tired to perform, too changed to fit where you used to belong, but not yet surrounded by what truly matches you. This season can feel empty, but it is not empty. It is clearing. It is the space between who you were and who you are becoming. It is the quiet place where life removes what can no longer come with you. It is the painful pause before your outer world catches up with your inner growth. And if you do not understand this season, you may run back to old people just to escape the loneliness. You may reopen doors that took so much strength to close. You may lower your standards just to feel familiar warmth. You may confuse missing someone with needing them. You may mistake loneliness for a sign that you made the wrong choice. But loneliness is not always a warning. Sometimes loneliness is the echo of a life that no longer fits. Sometimes it is the withdrawal from people, patterns, and places that were never truly feeding you. Sometimes it is what happens when you stop choosing fake closeness over real peace. And if you can survive that lonely season without betraying yourself, you become different. You stop fearing loss so much. You stop clinging to people just because they have been there for a long time. You stop calling every ending a failure. You stop treating distance like rejection. You begin to understand that some people leave because they were only meant for the version of you that you have outgrown. And that is not something to chase. That is something to accept. Because the people who are meant for your healed life will not need you to become wounded again to feel close to you. They will not ask you to lower your awareness. They will not punish your growth. They will not make you feel guilty for protecting your peace. They will not require the old version of you to return just so they can feel comfortable. They will meet you where you are becoming. And until then, you must stop treating every loss as proof that something is wrong with you. Sometimes people leave because you are finally doing something right. Sometimes people become distant because your light is no longer shaped around their darkness. Sometimes people stop choosing you because you stop choosing self-betrayal. Sometimes you lose people because you have finally started finding yourself. And that is why this chapter is so painful and so powerful at the same time. Because every ending asks you a question. Will you go back to who you were just to keep who you had? Or will you let them leave and keep becoming who you are? That question is where your life changes. That question is where your life changes. Because one day, you stop begging life to bring everyone with you. You stop trying to shrink your growth so other people can still recognize you. You stop trying to make yourself smaller, softer, easier, quieter, just so no one feels uncomfortable with the person you are becoming. And you finally understand something painful but freeing. Not everyone can come with you. Not everyone is meant to understand this version of you. Not everyone will celebrate the boundaries that saved your life. Not everyone will love the peace that replaced your old availability. Some people only knew how to love you when you were tired, when you were unsure, when you were easy to reach, when you were afraid to disappoint them, when you were willing to carry the connection alone. But that version of you is fading, and maybe that is why you are slowly losing everyone. Not because you are broken, not because you are unlovable, not because you are becoming cold, but because you are no longer willing to betray yourself just to keep people close. You are losing the connections that needed your silence. You are losing the people who benefited from your overgiving. You are losing the rooms where you had to perform a version of yourself that no longer exists. You are losing the relationships that only survived because you kept ignoring how lonely they made you feel. And yes, it hurts. It hurts to realize that some people only stayed because you never asked for more. It hurts to see how quickly a connection changes when you stop doing all the emotional work. It hurts to watch people become distant the moment you begin choosing yourself. But do not mistake that pain for a sign that you are wrong. Sometimes growth feels like rejection before it feels like freedom. Sometimes peace feels like loneliness before it feels like home. Sometimes losing people is not proof that you are falling apart. Sometimes it is proof that your life is finally making room for something real. Because the people who are truly meant for you will not need the wounded version of you to return. They will not need you exhausted. They will not need you available every second. They will not need you to abandon your boundaries just to prove your love. They will not make your healing feel like betrayal. They will meet you in your truth. They will respect your silence. They will understand your distance. They will not punish you for becoming harder to access and easier to trust. And until those people arrive, you must learn to survive the quiet season. The season where you feel like you are losing everyone. The season where old conversations no longer feel the same. The season where old places no longer feel like home. The season where you cannot go back, but you do not fully know what comes next. This season is not empty. It is sacred. It is where you learn who you are without the people you were afraid to lose. It is where you learn that your worth does not disappear when someone walks away. It is where you learn that being alone is not the same as being abandoned. It is where you learn that your peace is worth more than being surrounded by people who make you feel unseen. So let them go, not with hatred, not with pride, not with bitterness, but with quiet acceptance. Let go of the people who only loved your old wounds. Let go of the connections that needed you to stay small. Let go of the version of yourself that thought losing people meant losing value. Because you are not losing everyone. You are losing what can no longer come with you. You are losing what no longer matches your spirit. You are losing the noise that kept you from hearing your own life. And slowly, after the grief, something will begin to return. Your energy, your clarity, your standards, your peace, your real voice, your real self. The self that no longer chases people who are comfortable losing you. The self that no longer begs for a place in lives where she feels invisible. The self that no longer confuses history with loyalty. The self that no longer calls loneliness a reason to go backward. And when that self returns, you will understand. You did not lose everyone. You found out who was only connected to the version of you that was willing to disappear from herself. And now you are done disappearing. Now you choose truth. Now you choose peace. Now you choose the people who can meet you without needing you to become less. Because sometimes losing people is not the end of your life. Sometimes it is the beginning of the life where you finally stop losing yourself.